Hey there and welcome to Airborne Empire. This game is quite the interesting city builder, I guess you could call it. You're gonna have to suspend your disbelief a little bit on this game, because yes, we have a flying building. This is our town center, and this town center is gonna be the core of our flying city. As you can see, it looks like a bit of a, I'd say almost Da Vinci-esque contraption. And it flies, and we can tell it to go places. However, moving places and staying airborne consumes some resources. Coal, for example. Coal is burned by, or at least burned to, keep your city afloat. Once you have this floating city, you gotta, of course, keep the coal incoming, but also keep your workers fed. We have a population of 10. That's 10 birds. Yes, birds, that's the, the population of this particular city. Now, what I'm going to do here is set up a pathway, basically a street, as other towns would call it. You can see that my birds are going to get to work building out this pathway. The reason why I'm doing this is so that I can start setting up a house or two. Because as of the moment, I do not have enough houses. I got 10 inhabitants, but only 5 houses. Something that you're gonna have to keep in mind with a normal city builder is how you lay out your plan. However, if you have a floating city, you can't exactly be building everything towards the front or the thing will fall out of the sky. So, for example, if I'm building a hangar, you can see that the whole city starts to tilt in any particular direction, depending on where I put it. If I put my hangar over here, it's going to add 2 degrees tilt to the right. Over towards the front, it's going to add 2 degrees of tilt to the front. 2 degrees is not a problem, you can definitely make that work, but it is something that you have to keep in mind. So, let's put this hangar out front. And the hangar is going to serve as a launch pad for all sorts of small aircraft that we can then use to extract resources. The resources that we currently have, or rather need, are wood, iron. Iron is gotten from various mines, such as, let's see here, an ore deposit. You can turn the ore into iron ore, and with that, upgrade your buildings, build additional things, etc. Down here, we also have an ancient ruin, and that is your basic source of revenue for coin, aside from doing quests. So I can send a worker, and what you'll see is that, there we go, we got one of these tiny aircraft, and I can't exactly follow it down because the basic plane of the game is in the air. You can see it goes down there. It's going to sort of inspect this area. It's going to come back up, and especially this part is something I quite enjoy, because they do a sort of loop-de-loop, and they come back in. And we're landed. Just like that. So, that unfortunately didn't get me a whole lot of coin, but hey, that's fine. What we're going to do now is gather a couple of resources. We do have enough food, so at the moment I don't really need to inspect this thicket down here. But what I do want to do is get after some of these forests. Now, you can just right-click anywhere on the map, telling your aircraft, or sorry, your city where to go. And as you're on the way there, at some point, some things might get into range. For example, the forest is not in range or too far away, but this ruin can be inspected. So, you're not just a city, you're almost an aircraft carrier in that sense. There is a story to the game, and that involves, well, doing basic quests. You are an airborne empire, hence the name of the game. And, of course, basically a town center with a hangar does not constitute much of an empire. If you want to get more buildings added to your empire, we're going to have to do some research. But we can't. Not yet. We're going to have to get an academy. So in order to get the academy, we're going to have to do some resource gathering. I'm going to assign 5 workers here, so you can see 1, 2... there's more birds launching aircraft. Yeah, it's it's weird to say that, but here we are. And they're going to start gathering more of the resources. Some of those ruins actually did give me a bunch of resources. I'm now at 572 coin, which is quite nice. And I also need to start building housing blocks, but for that, again, I need more wood as a resource. Something you really need to keep in mind is that you can only store 100 resources. That is up until the point where you upgrade your storage capacity. If you get your whole Airborne Empire chock full of wood, you will not be able to salvage or gather or process any of these resources. And that means you might be a little stuck. You might find that your whole empire comes grinding to a halt. So, of course, this being a sort of Airborne-esque city builder, you're going to have to be a little bit cautious with how you gather your resources, up until the point where you have some additional buildings capable of storing more resources. As for what we have on the left, we've got water and food. Both of those are critical resources. There's also light. This is a sort of limiting factor to how much you want to expand your city. Because if I try to extend this path beyond this circle, it's going to say, well, you can do that, but unlit, so nighttime accidents may occur. And that comes essentially down to, if you do this, there is a chance that people will fall off your platform. That is possible. Not ideal, of course, but it's definitely possible. Now, let's get a couple of housing blocks in the back. One housing block is already enough, but let's have a chat with this tavern over here. It's a tavern and a small settlement, and what I can do here is gather some more people. I, however, do need an empty house. So this is essentially the game's way of telling you, hey, it's nice that you want to hire additional workers, but at the moment, you first need to gather a few more resources. So let's wait for some of those aircraft to come in, and they always do that little loop-de-loop. With my experience in Flight Simulator, I think it's a bit of a weird way to land, because, I mean, you're coming in vertical, but then again, we're flying a city, so maybe I should suspend my disbelief on that regard. There we go. Now we have an additional building there. So now I can chat up these people and say, I want to hire you, and you, and you, and that's what you use your coin for. Or rather, that's one of the uses for your coin. What else do we want to do? Well, let's go visit this city over here. This is the city of Haven Mill. And in order to get a bit more progression into the city, or into the story, we're going to have to go here. This is your first bit of exploration into the story of the game, and it will also give you your first quests. And will allow you to start researching new buildings. That is, if we gather enough resources. As you might be seeing, my water is going down pretty quick, and of course, the more water, or rather the more population you have, the more water you will need. So you're constantly trying to balance the amount of workers with the amount of resources that you might need. And therein lies the challenge. Can you manage all of these balancing acts? If not, your empire might come crashing down. Literally, in this game. There we go, we have the academy, and now we have a research tree. A couple of different trees, essentially. We have the basics, where you can upgrade the town center, the housing blocks, the hangar, and some unknown buildings. In order to unlock these buildings, and that goes for all these other tabs too, I first need to get their blueprint. I first need to get a blueprint, and then I can unlock the building, and after that, the building's upgrades. There is, for those of you who might have surrounded it already, there's combat. And so far, I have no way of defending myself from combat, but that is going to be important later. Now, let's chat up this town. Haven Mill is the largest city in the area, outside of the capital of Littleos itself. It's really grown from a small farming village it once was. However, it has been damaged. And that is a problem. You folks don't look much like pirates. We're not. That's a relief, I have to admit. It's been a long time since I've seen a machine like yours above the area that wasn't aiming cannon fire down on us. So what we need to do now is help this city. And this city is going to require a bit of help in the resource department. We need wood and iron, and if I have enough of that, I will be able to start helping these people and gather some money for my efforts. So what I now need to do is gather iron, which I do not have. So I'm going to say I will return. We will be back soon. I can now leave, and I can also go to the tavern and hire additional people. Unfortunately, I don't believe we really have a whole lot of housing available. But hey, 15 is better than the 13 that I had. Okay, so now let's go gather some iron. Let's see, where do we have the iron? There we have an iron ore deposit. And I also need to get my research going to research the iron forge. This is going to require a bit of wood, which I currently do not have. So let's split these workers up. Yeah, and see, this is where you're going to have to make choices already. I can get fewer workers working on the academy, which will slow down my research. But that means I cannot really gather a whole lot of resources. I can gather one, or I can put one worker on a forest and one on the iron ore deposit. And that's pretty much it. At the moment, there isn't that much more to do. So I'm going to have to wait, or I'm going to have to get more buildings built, more population. And with that, be able to get a bit more production going faster. Let's first get a path going. Unfortunately, I don't really have a street light nearby. Yeah, let's just do it like this for now. Let's get a housing block. I'm gonna chat up the IRA again, because I can now go to the tavern, and I can hire all of these. There we go. So that is my workforce expanded, and now I also have the Iron Forge researched. Let's get some upgrades going. I can, for example, increase the available planes to 8. Initially, I thought this was going to be very useful, but it really isn't, because you generally don't have that many workers available. What I can also do is upgrade my town center. So I can make sure that they require less food. That is very handy, because it means I don't have to work on that as much. Now, time to build that forge. That is, if I can pick up enough wood. The good news is, now I have 12 workers available, because I'm not actually researching anything. That building isn't being... Oh, sorry, that building is being used. But I'm not building anything, so my workers are available. Let's put 3 workers on that. I'm going to put 3 workers on that. And I'm noticing that my water supply is going down a bit. I still have 8 idle workers. And now I don't have sufficient aircraft. So now my my mobile city, my airborne empire, is going to kind of hold position and gather some resources. A little later, I've gathered the resources, and now I can start rebuilding Haven Mill. So let's get these people to work, and it's going to take 2 hours for me to have this town get up to full spec. You can see the progress bar filling up there as we're repairing Haven Mill. In the meanwhile, I'm going to have a look at my resources. I still have a decent amount of iron, but I want to, get more. So we're going to relocate the city slightly more so this comes into range. I should set some workers to go mine that. Sometimes you'll see that, for example, as I'm moving away from the forest here, it's going to be out of my range. Which is fine. I don't have to stay in range of every resource at all times. So long as, of course, you can gap the bridge with everything else. Okay, requires less food per worker. Good, let's go require less water per worker. If you wish to speed up your research, you can just go and get an additional academy. However, that's going to also require lift. And as you can see here, I have a maximum lift capacity of 60. I'm currently at 58. I'm kind of maxed out. Maybe I can build some additional pathways, but that'll be about it. So at the moment, it's not really possible for me to keep expanding my city anymore. First though, let's have a chat. With the Academy and Market back operational, we are going to live to fight another day. And now I get my first blueprint. This is going to allow me to get the street lamps, which will then be allowing me to build my city out farther. So that I have that light source and we're not going to have any accidents at night. Okay, they also want me to get a defensive tower or 2 operational for them, as well as for me. But I don't have the blueprint for that. So we're going to have to go to the scholars at Oranspur in order to get the blueprint for that. What I now also have is the academy. And this is also where you can buy additional blueprints, such as the clinic, basically a hospital, or the hemp weaver, turning the cotton into cloth, which is a resource you will need at some point in order to upgrade things. But I don't have enough cash, so unfortunately I can't do much. If you have an excess of resources of some variety, you can go to the market and start exchanging them for something else. So I can say, well, I want to sell some of my iron, but you're really not getting paid much, if anything. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, because forests will regrow, this forest over here, it's a little dwindling as I've plundered it a bit, but it will regrow. An iron mine will not, so you're going to have to scavenge more of the map. And thankfully the map is enormous. If you're looking at all the ways I can move this map, it's enormous. Now it is an early access title, so I'm not sure exactly if it is all going to be available right at the start, or if some things are still not going to be possible to use, but it looks like an enormous map. Alright, let's advance the story a bit more, up to the point where we're going to be able to build defenses. As for those defenses, here's the reason why you want those in the first place. Pirates. This is a pirate fighter, and at the moment there is not much I can do about it, because I don't have any defenses. So this thing is going to sort of raid your empire, and right now they can damage some of my buildings, which is annoying, but not terribly crippling yet. Later on, it's entirely possible for you to have additional lift generators, additional things that keep your airborne afloat, or keep your empire afloat. If they manage to knock those things out, and you exceed the amount of lift that you're generating with the amount of weight that you have, well, you might come crashing down. And good luck when that happens. So it's definitely imperative to get those towers, those defensive towers, up and running as quickly as possible. I kind of messed up previous when I said we're going to Orenarl, because we're going to Castra Regnum. This is the land, or the military fortress, and here we might be able to go and get our defensive tower. But Captain Marner is a bit of a militant. So we're going to say that the magistrate sent us. And here he says, have this tower defense, or defense tower schematic. Deliver it to Agatha. Okay, and we will. And we are to tell her, I told you so. Over here you can also go to the academy, and these guys actually have more available. Food silos, water towers, coal storages. You can get all sorts of additional storages for some of your critical resources. But of course, that comes at a price. For now, I'm not bleeding that much coal, so I don't think it's that much of a priority. Whereas water, that could be interesting. As for the tavern, I would love to hire additional people, but I only have 2 slots. So let's hire these 2, and that's my entire city full. Okay, we can research the defensive tower. Let's get on that and make sure we're able to defend our city. Oh, hold on. We're still... Oh, we're almost done researching that one project. In this game, and that's something quite important, if you skip or if you change your research, that will force you to restart the whole research from scratch. Yeah, it's not ideal, but that's the position that we find ourselves in. So make sure you complete your research and then proceed. Let's go pick up some iron ore, open the research tree, and get that defense tower researched. Now that I've researched the defense tower, I can actually build it. And of course, this thing comes with its own protective aura. You cannot defend everything. The larger your city gets, the more towers you will need, and also the more, let's say, more numerous the pirates become, the more guns you might need. For now, let's just put this thing on here. However, I don't have enough lift. That's unfortunate. I can, however, generate more lift by building an additional fan. So let's get that going first. Let's put a fan over there, and let's put a secondary fan over there, but unfortunately I don't have enough wood. So let's put some workers to pillage this forest and get that going. There we go, now I have enough lift, and now I can set up my defensive tower. So let's get the defense tower over there. I might actually go with 2. I am also researching an upgrade to that tower, which will increase their defensive range by 15%, so you can get much more range without having to build many additional towers. There we go. Now I can talk to these people. I can once again go to the magistrate and say, hey, I got your tower for you. Of course, they're going to say, we need to research it. Yes, I have done that, and now I can build that tower for them. So we're going to have to once again hang over this city for a bit, allow them to build their defensive tower, and make sure that the town over here of Haven Mill is properly defended. For which they'll be very grateful. And in the meanwhile, the rest of my workers are going to be just mining things and harvesting additional stuff. As my lift is only 63, I'm going to get another building which produces lift, but I don't have enough wood yet. But I can generate a lot of wood very quickly because I'm right next to this forest and I have so many workers available. I got 2 idle ones, which is fine, because it means I can get more people to work on the new fan. And I want to try and keep this thing sort of symmetrical, so that the balance stays there. If you want to, you can assign fewer workers here, but that will also come at the expense of lift. If I don't have enough lift at all, you can see that I'm in trouble. We are falling. So make sure that you have enough lift. And this is also to reinforce my point previous about having enough lift and not having the pirates knock these things out. What you can do is take the people away from the defense tower until such a time as when you need it. So right now, I don't really need people here. I can just have the defense tower be unmanned. Alright, Haven Mill once again working. Let's go to the tower. And doing his proud kid. Okay. Now we are to travel to Oranspur. And we are to speak to High Scholar Isidore when we arrive. Okay, leave. And as for the market, I don't think there's a whole lot. Oh yeah, there's a small quest here. Every outpost needs 10 food. So that is something that we need to get to work. And that is a nice little side quest that we can do. We got 500 coin for our trouble. So let's see, is there anything useful to buy at the academy? Research purchase-wise? Yeah, let's go for the hemp weaver. Which is the exact amount that you need, of course. It's almost like it's intended. With all the additional buildings that I've been building, I should have enough to get that additional building constructed, but of course I first need to research it. Alright, we're going to do that on the way. Let's go back to the map. Over here you can see that there is a new place that we need to visit, and there are a couple of outposts that we need to resupply. So let's go and get the outer one first. Right-clicking on the map just kind of sets a waypoint, but does not set a course for your city. And if you rotate the camera, you can see that there is your waypoint, so this is pretty much where we should be going. If at some point you feel that your city isn't traveling fast enough, I'm only getting 14 propulsion with 62 drag because everything is getting a bit slow, you can build additional propulsion. And in order to do that, of course, you're going to have to research it first. I can research the propeller, which generates 10 propulsion, and that is with 2 people manning the building. This is also where a bit of micromanagement will come in. You might find that during a pirate attack you want to have these things manned and not your propulsion. But when you're in travel mode, such as I am now, I'm just moving on to another objective, it can definitely be important to have, well, to get to that objective a little faster. I also need to assign some workers here quickly to get a bit more from this. Because I see... Oh, here come the pirates. Man the guns. We see them incoming. Here they are. Pirate fighter coming in. Defense tower upgrade just in time. Very good. Now, let's get that additional production building, the hemp weaver, so I can start turning cotton into cloth. And let's see this gun get into action. I really like the small animations you can see on all these buildings. All the mechanics going on, if you will. Come on, pirate. How about it? There we go. Acquiring. Engaging. Of course, the more defenses you have, the more this fighter is going to take damage, and the faster you'll be rid of the pirates. From what I've been able to tell, there's not really a reward that you get from the pirates getting eliminated. It's just more so that the longer you let them live, the more damage your city will take. And of course, therein lies the pain, because the more resources you spend on repairing your city, the more resources you're going to have to delve from somewhere else. Coal we're pretty good on. I can assign 1 there. And I think the quest here was to get additional resources in the form of food. So I need to have plenty of that. We're almost ready for the hemp weaver to come in. Iron forge is missing iron. Yes. Okay, so I can remove some people from the forge here because I don't strictly have to use them at the moment. Let's get the street lamp. And let's start gathering all the food we can. Because we're about to go and chat up this building over here, the logging camp. And with the logging camp operational, you'll be getting a shipment of, I think, wood. So that you don't have to mine everything yourself. And the rest of these quests will give you some of the other resources. A while later, I have been tasked with eliminating a pirate outpost, and I appear to have found it. There's a pirate hangar over here. So, let's get to town. Get to work. Let's eliminate those guys. But first, we got about 5 pirates flying overhead. And they are causing all sorts of damage to my Airborne Empire. So they gotta go. I have upgraded my 2 towers. Hopefully this is going to knock those things out pretty quick. There's another. Jeez, the amount of damage they're causing is distinctly unfun. So we'll have to show them who's boss. In order to do that, I'm going to use this thing over here, which is... Damn it. A food silo was destroyed. How rude. I'm going to use this thing, which is a cannon. I can manually aim that, as opposed to those defensive towers. And with that, I intend to do great harm upon these pirates. Oh, they even knocked out a propulsion unit. And they knocked out, what, my forge? Yeah, I think they knocked out my iron forge. That is not what I had in mind. Okay, let's get that thing back operational. They got their own cannon. Yep, they got their own cannon. Okay, man the guns. Bring it around. Oh boy. I'm gonna shoot back at that thing. More pirates incoming. Oh, this is gonna be great. Okay, that thing's been destroyed. I need to wreck this pirate hangar before they start launching more and more and more aircraft. This thing has to go. 92 health. Can we knock that out in one go? Yes. And there's a pirate warehouse. Okay. Hopefully they won't destroy all my buildings in one go. We got, what, 4 birds we need to target? Yeah, 4 of them. We're even trying to knock out the defensive towers at this point. Knocked out 1. It's a defeated pirate going down. 3 more up there. These are my own birds coming home. Bastards. There you go. Okay, I guess we can start to loot the place now. And hopefully we'll be rid of some of these pirates in this land. At least for a little bit. Because it's taking too much of my workers and too much of my resources just to keep everything operational. Yeah, everybody's busy. Okay, we can remove the population here from the guns. We can start getting some of the loot here. Let's see what we find. There's a coin stash down there. What are we going to find? There's also a sort of ruin. I haven't seen that one before. Perhaps for later, they say. So, mental notes to visit that at some point later. Get the propulsion unit back on. We do have a bit of a supply of wood, but I would like to get some more. Let's see what we're going to get. Three wood and 2 metal in the cannon wreckage. Most of my population is busy. Also, I got 5 of my population infirm. So, I need a clinic. And at the moment, I don't have any. 3 wood and 2 in the pirate hangar wreckage. Eh. Oh, and 409 in the coin stash. See, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. Anyway, this is where I am going to leave you. Airborne Empires is available in early access. I quite like it. It's nice and relaxing. It's different. Most city builders are stationary, and they decided to flip that whole element on its head and say, well, what if we give you a mobile city slash aircraft carrier? I'm not really sure how you should put this. I like it. I quite like it. Link down below in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. And, well, if this video does well, you might see more of Airborne Empire on my channel. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon for more.